Hi guys, it's me, Miss Rodriguez, and today's math lesson is going to be about fractions. We've talked a little bit about fractions when we've worked on our TEKS in the morning, so we're just going to review it real fast before we start getting more into them. So a fraction is when you have a set or a whole piece that you divide into equal parts. So the biggest key word in a fraction is that it must be equal parts. And in case you forgot what equal means that the parts are the same size, the same shape. They have to be equal. So one of the things that I always think about when I'm thinking about fractions is that when I'm dividing things, say food, if I'm dividing it, I want my parts to be equal so that the person I'm sharing with gets the same amount as me. I especially think about things I really like to eat. So if Ms. Rodriguez really likes to eat a candy bar and Mr. Rodriguez asks to share it, then I'm going to make sure I divide it into equal parts. It wouldn't be fair if I gave him a smaller part and I give myself a bigger part. But at the same time, it wouldn't be fair if I give him the bigger part and I get the smaller part because I like it so much. So we're going to be talking and looking at shapes today and whether they're a fraction or not a fraction. So I'm going to start by drawing a shape that we know. I'm going to do a rectangle. And I want to make this rectangle be in two equal parts. So I'm going to draw a line on the rectangle to show the two equal parts. So there, since I have two equal parts, I have them in halves. One part and two parts. And you can see the parts are about the same size. Now, some shapes, like the rectangle, have different ways that they can be divided. So here's another rectangle, and this is going to be another way that I can divide it into two equal parts. Again, this side and this side are the same. They're both halves, and they're in equal parts. I'm going to also do a rectangle again. But this time, I'm going to divide it into 4 parts. So I'm going to do that horizontal line there, which looks like this one. And then do a vertical line. And now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 equal parts where they're about the same size. I'm trying to do them as close as I can. And since it's divided into 4 equal parts, we call those fourths. Now, sometimes you're going to see a picture of a shape that is not divided into 4 equal parts. So let me give you an example. I'm going to use that rectangle again. But this time, we're going to divide it a little differently. Now, you can see that this part and this part are two very different sizes. This is much smaller than this one. So this one is not a fraction because the parts are not equal. This one, these here that we've done so far at the top, fraction, 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 because the parts are equal. But this one, because they are not equal, is not a fraction. So let's try another one. I'm going to draw a completely different shape and let's see if it's a fraction or not a fraction. So I'm going to do a circle and then I'm going to divide it. Fraction or not a fraction? This one is not a fraction. The parts are not equal, so it's not a fraction. Okay, let's try a different one. Now I'm going to do a square. And I'm going to divide it like this. Fraction or not a fraction? If you said fraction, you are correct. These are two triangles that made that square. And if I were to take those triangles apart and put them side by side, they'd be exactly the same size. So that one is a fraction. Okay, let's do one more. Well, one more shape. Let's do another circle. I'm going to divide this circle like this. And as close as Miss Rodriguez could do while she was drawing this picture, this is a fraction because the shapes are as close as I can to the same size. If I were to take them apart, put them together, they'd be the same. So this would be a fraction. And last but not least, we'll do one more square. And I'm going to divide my square like this. Fraction or not a fraction? This one sadly is not a fraction. Okay friends, so just to review, we have been working on fractions. A fraction is a set or a whole that is divided into equal parts. And Ms. Rodriguez sees she made a mistake right there. So I'm gonna fix that, use my caret. A set or whole that is divided into equal parts. So remember, we're looking for equal parts. Here's an example of a fraction, a fraction, a fraction, a fraction, and a fraction, because they all have equal parts. This one, and this one, they're not fractions because they are parts where they're unequal. In your activity, you're going to be working on the same thing. You'll be sorting the fractions into fraction or not a fraction. Have fun, guys.